Hello, this is Rudy Giuliani. This is America's Mayor Live from Miami, Florida. And my friend Darren is here with me. We've got a special
Darren.
show that we're going to, we've got a special show at the first part of it here that we're going to talk about something I think you're going to be very, very interested in. But Ted, give us a formal introduction, as we always do, for our honored guest.
That's right. We have the great Darren Burke of Burke Brands. And Darren, why don't you describe what Burke Brands does? You do so much there. You got a full production studio in there. But of course, coffee being one of the main products. Share a little more about Burke Brands.
Yeah, Burke Brands produces Don Pablo coffee. I'm Don Pablo. We're growers in Colombia. We roast in Miami, small batches to order. We also have an in-house movie production studio that Rudy was at today. We filmed some great commercials. So yeah, that's me. And I want to tell you that how honored I am to be on this show with you. My wife and I watch it all the time. And especially because I'm in the seat where
We get things you like, don't like. You communicate with us.
we love the show.
Thank
And
you.
I'm privileged to be in the same seat that Steve Bannon was in a few days ago, right? So what an American hero, just like yourself. Thank you.
I have to tell you, he taught me all about coffee. I became involved in coffee about, I'm literally going to say 5 years ago, when I just got, I like coffee. I liked it all my life. My mother was a coffee, like 12 cups a day, 13
Wow.
cups a day, right? And by the way, she lived until she was 93. So anybody, it's unhealthy. It wasn't unhealthy for her. And she was sharp as a tack until the very end. I mean, she was, even at the very end, she was better than mine.
Oh, I bet.
And
Yeah.
so
It's not hard.
tell us how how did this start? And tell us about the coffee that you make, Arabica and Robusto and the different chemicals that can get into it. Because there's a lot of literature now about how coffee can be healthy. But then there are a lot of caveats to it, like it's healthy, but it's healthy, but it's healthy, but.
So
Maybe you can give us a little.
if somebody ever asks you or tells you that coffee's not good for you, they heard coffee was bad for you, ask, or their doctor said that, ask them, how old is your doctor? Because that's old news, right? In this country, we've been drinking Robusta. There's two species that are commercially viable, Robusta and Arabica. So we've been drinking Robusta. Those are the supermarket brands for many years. Very acidic, bitter, double the caffeine, makes you nervous and jittery. Arabica grows higher in the mountain. It's a deeper, richer, fuller flavor. It's smoother. It's got a clean finish, half the caffeine. So it's actually very good for you. And in Latin America, where that's all they grow is Arabica coffee. They actually pretty much, yeah, that's it. Brazil's an exception. They grow a lot of Robusta. But my wife, they used to put it in her baby bottle when she was a kid because it's very mild and it's not acidic.
Arabica.
Yeah.
And the baby.
Yeah, not Robusta. We don't deal with Robusta at all. Absolutely. Yeah. So
They're all going to want to.
yeah.
All the men are going, really?
You can go to donpablo.com, donpablocoffee.com and see my wife, Eliana. So speaking about how we started, she was the inspiration. I moved to South Florida from Massachusetts 34 years ago. And I met my wife, who was Colombian. She wasn't my wife then, obviously. Fell madly in love with her. She took me to Colombia to meet her family. And I got an incredible cup of coffee. It blew me away. My family had been drinking Folgers and Maxwell House.
Right.
And we didn't know the difference. No, it was all ground, super stale, very bitter. You put a ton of sugar in it just so you could drink it.
You had the good coffee.
No,
Did you know it?
no,
Because I didn't know it.
no. You
No, I haven't.
no.
Brown cup of coffee.
Yeah,
I didn't know. Wow, what a difference.
most people have no idea. There's good coffee. You really need to elevate your coffee. And the beans that we use for Rudy's coffee is specialty grade, over 90 points. We roast it to order in small batches. When you order it, it gets roasted, the PO gets stamped on the bag, and boom, it gets shipped to your house. Doesn't get better than that.
I mean, I have not had a single person that I give it to that isn't in love with it. They just love
Yeah.
the coffee, and all of a sudden, not everyone, but almost everyone, I'd say 70%, immediately do away with the cream and sugar.
Oh yeah, you don't need it. Why would you drink it? It's delicious.
It's gonna spoil the taste.
What does it taste like to you though? How I describe it is chocolatey, smooth.
Depends on whether I'm doing the morning coffee or the bold coffee. And the morning coffee, when we first did it, it was a little bit of a surprise because I I thought the morning coffee would be like kind of really light. And then I had it and it was like,
Yeah,
but
but smooth on the back end.
smoother.
Yeah,
Then the bowl coffee is a bowl coffee.
Yeah.
You can really taste it and it's fabulous. But it's not like a complete taste in your mouth. Doesn't leave your mouth bitter, doesn't leave your mouth dry. And you look forward to having it.
yeah.
It's and I mean I used to look forward to putting the sugar in the milk in.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people tell me they go to bed dreaming about that cup of coffee in the morning because they like it so much. And so the difference between the medium dark roast, we call it a medium in your coffee, and the bold is the level of roast. So the medium is a slight caramelization of the natural sugars, no real sugar, natural sugars in the bean. So it's sweet, but it's chocolatey and it's smooth and it's clean finish. The bold coffee is a darker coffee. We let it keep it in the roaster a little bit longer. So it's a full caramelization of those natural sugars. So it's more, I don't know, you could say maybe pungent.
Mhm.
It hits you a little bit harder in the tongue, but it's also very smooth.
Now tell them about how you get to these like specialized coffees that they make in Europe, the little cups. Uh, what is that? Is that different beans, different coffee?
So yeah, Europe, you know, is a big place, a lot of different countries, and they have different coffee cultures, but most of it is a mix of Arabica and Robusta.
Mhm.
And why that is because they use espresso machines to brew the
Right.
coffee. So if you have
Is
a
it in all the different countries of the world?
no,
You see Turkish coffee and
right. I mean, if you're extracting if you're using steam, high pressure to brew the coffee, then it's espresso, is what we call it. Other people just call it coffee. Like in Portugal, yes, but they also use a lot of robusta because it gives a great crema without even trying.
Right.
So, and it's cheaper, and that's what you get used to. Same thing in Cuba. Cuba's an interesting story because before Castro, they had really great quality coffee, just like cigars. But of course, Castro came in. He said, "This is what we're going to pay for the green coffee. This is what we're going to pay the farmers." And of course, they took away the incentive to grow good quality coffee. So the yields went down. There was not enough for domestic consumption. So they started mixing in chicharo, like chickpeas, just so they could stretch it out, so they could give it to everybody. Yeah, it made it super bitter. And they did have a lot of sugar cane on the island. So they put a ton of sugar and they were able to drink it.
So the best coffee now in terms of national origin, where should people look?
So, you know, that's a matter of taste. For my personal preference, I like Central America. Why is because there's a lot of sulfur in the soil from all the volcanoes, tons of volcanoes, Nicaragua, Guatemala, Honduras. Honduras is my favorite. Shade grown, a lot of sulfur in the soil, and they don't prune the trees. Like in other places like Colombia, they'll prune the trees every 5 years to the base. But in Central America, they let them grow 30 years. Lower yield, better quality.
Well, there was a period of time, oh gosh, 20, 30 years ago, when Columbia coffee, at least it was advertised
Yes.
as
Advertised.
Columbia coffee was the best
Yeah.
coffee.
Best coffee in the world. The guys on Madison Avenue did that.
Mhm.
That was their brainchild, and they spent hundreds of millions of dollars, and it got in people's heads. And even today, like Colombia, best coffee in the world. The reality is, it's a good coffee, and just like every other country, some is better than others depending on the region in Colombia. But for my money, Central America,
And what beans do they use?
it's all Arabica. It's all Arabica.
South America, basically all around.
Yeah, except for Brazil. Brazil grows a lot of Robusta.
Why? Why the difference?
Well, it's flatter, less elevation. It's easier to grow. They've been growing it for a long time. Brazil was known as a filler coffee for many years. But over the last maybe 3 decades, they've been improving. So they've got some phenomenal Arabica coffees too.
If I go into the diner and I order a cup of coffee in one of the used to be Greek diners in
Yeah.
New York. They're kind of diversified now, but they used to be the Greek diners. They even had the coffee cups that had like almost a flag of Greece on them.
Yeah, yeah.
What am I getting?
It's an iconic cup. You're getting a Robusta. Yeah. Probably 100% Robusta. I mean, I haven't tried one for a long time, but it was all Robusta before. It's cheaper. It trades at half the price. So if you're giving off free cups of coffee all day long at a diner,
Well, what about when here's another place where people have coffee a lot? Airports, airport lounges.
yeah.
They have the coffee often is free.
Yeah.
What
All
are they getting?
So 4 companies control 95% of the global at-home coffee.
Mhm.
So there's these big giant companies that control the coffee, and they don't use good quality, and they don't roast in small batches. They roast in these giant machines, and they've got this long supply chain, and they're just pumping coffee out. So what you're getting is poor quality. Usually Robusta, if it's Arabica, it's a very low grown Arabica with a lot of defects in it. And it's old, it's stale. They get it in these little packets that were ground like 6 months ago in some cases, and it's dead. And people just don't know the difference between good quality and, terrible quality yet.
So I now ground all my coffee, and it really isn't hard. And if you get used to it, you're gonna love it. And I don't know that it takes all that much longer. I just have the coffee, right? The beans. Take the requisite number of beans. I put them in a mixer,
Mm,
and I say 8 cups, 6 cups, and then the beans are all ground.
yeah,
Smells great, by the way.
it's incredible. Yeah, totally
You
different.
always have a little, almost the smell wakes me up before I
Yeah.
have the coffee. Then you put it into a blend. Is it a blender? You put that in a blender?
Well, you got a grinder, and then you got a brewer.
Brewer.
Yeah.
Then you put it in the brewer, and you put the water in, and you press your button, and 4 minutes later, you have a very, very hot, unbelievable cup of coffee.
Unbelievable. And if you guys haven't tried Rudy's coffee yet, this is what you'll do. Once you get it right, because a lot brewers are important, water temperature is important, the level of grind is super important. But once you get it the way you like it, you will sit there and you'll say, "Oh my God, that's a great cup of coffee. Oh my God, that's a great cup of coffee." We've been roasting coffee. We grow coffee for 30 years. We've been roasting it for 20 years. And I still do that every morning. My wife and I, we have our little routine where I make the coffee and we sit in bed and we watch, Bloomberg or whatever it is. And we're like, "Oh my God, this is so good. Oh my God, this is so good." Really, it changes your entire day.
I look forward to making it in the morning. I look forward to putting it in, and the taste, of course, is fabulous. And I don't think, I'm not sure, but I don't think I'm terribly affected by the caffeine, in the sense that even when I studied at night as a student, I would take the caffeine, and wasn't, I have so much energy.
Yeah, you do.
I'm
For
just so
sure.
much internal energy coming from something or other, that the caffeine is modest in comparison to it. But this is also, we'll spend more time talking about it at a different time, because one time I want to get on and have you show them how to do it.
Okay.
Because I think one of the things that is a barrier to people getting really good coffee is they think this is really complicated.
Yeah.
But I mean, basically, if you want to brew and grind your own coffee, what do you need?
So you need a grinder first. You obviously, start with some good quality beans. And if you buy them from a place that roasts to order, Rudy.coffee. That's where you got to go.
It's a bag or two at Rudy.coffee. Now they have it at home, but they're going to have coffee beans. Now, how are they going to be able to make that into this wonderful coffee that you're talking about?
So, people don't even understand they can get a grinder. There's grinders on Amazon. There's grinders in whatever store you want to go to. Yeah, even cheaper. But don't go cheap. Get one for $30, $50. Get a burr grinder. They've got burrs because you got even grinds. So it's a better.
And they work automatically.
Yeah, and you can set it.
I have something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah.
But they do. You press a button, and they have various ways of deciding 2 cups, 3 cups, 4 cups, 5 cups, 6 cups.
Right.
Right.
Super important to get that right. how much coffee ratio coffee to water. So yeah, you grind it the right amount. You put it in your brewer. I like a drip brewer. You know, you can use it as an espresso. You can have that cafeterita that they put on the stove. You know, they call it a mocha in Italy. That's really amazing too. You can do a pour over. You can do a Chemex. One thing though, whatever you do, water temperature is critical. Some brewers are not set for a good water temperature. One of the best drip machines is a Mr. Coffee. I don't know if I can advertise stuff on your channel, but $16 Mr. Coffee machine, one button. Excellent.
No, I actually didn't know that Mr. Coffee did a trip.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We, you know, my wife and I
Mr. Coffee. Well, they used to have Mr. Coffee when Joe DiMaggio advertised.
think it was always a drip machine.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
They do
Well,
grinders
my
too.
mother must have done it for me.
But they do a really amazing job. And you get the water temperature right. If you use a Chemex, if you're using boiling water, that kills the coffee. It tastes like tea.
You just need regular water.
If anybody complains to you, oh, this doesn't have any
Should- now,
flavor.
Should
the
you,
water temperature.
should you use some form of, non-tap water or tap water that's been filtered or?
Yeah, I mean, water's critical, right? So we have an RO machine, reverse osmosis, in our sink, and that's perfect. We're in Miami. But if you don't have good tasting water out of the tap, don't use tap water. Use filtered water. Use,
I
you
mean,
know,
it's good to have really good tap.
that's what they
You
say.
still have a big jar that filters it.
Mm,
So we have a filter in there, put the water in there, store it, and then change the filter every so often.
yeah,
So you take the impurities out.
probably got lead pipes too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's no good.
Well, it's been fascinating. We're gonna have Darren back, and we're gonna do a demonstration. These things make heck of a nice Christmas gifts, as you will see when our ad comes out. You're gonna get really, really excited. Santa Claus loves this coffee, by the way. You want your kids to get good gifts. How about leaving some coffee, huh? Thanks, Darren.
Thank you, appreciate you.
We're gonna take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's Coffee.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast.
These deals are
Oh, this is Rudy Giuliani. See, I'm back by myself. Everybody left. Darren and his wife left. Steve's quit. He's going to take care of Raleigh. Dr. Maria has more important things to do. And Ted fell asleep. So, it's just me and I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to tell you what really happened with that creep Castamatidis. Yeah, we're going to save that. So, the president of the United States has raised, or I guess it was raised with him, the new president. I mean, the only president? Come on, we don't have a president in Washington or anything. But in any event, he was asked about birthright citizenship. Now, what is birthright citizenship? The United States Constitution, when it was originally written, said that you could only be, you could only be, for example, president of the United States if you were born in the United States. And it also provided that anyone born in the United States. Now, let me add a word to this because there's a little phrase after it that everybody misses. Under the jurisdiction of the United States is a natural born citizen. So, and this was clarified when we did the 14th Amendment in order to make certain that all of the slaves, the African American slaves, were clearly citizens. Was it necessary because another amendment and law had made them citizens? Maybe not, but it clarified an ambiguity for that purpose. And I don't think they ever thought out, although, you know, our founding fathers and our predecessors were pretty smart on thinking everything out. I don't think they thought it all out because a lot of the scholarship on this was during the end of the Civil War, after the Emancipation Proclamation, and after the 13th Amendment and the 14th Amendment. And so, if you read it literally, right, somebody could come across the United States illegally in the last month of pregnancy, live with a friend or pay someone to live in Arizona for 4 weeks, have a baby. That baby's an American citizen. And then that person could try to bootstrap that into becoming a citizen in the United States because now they are the mother of a baby born here. And if you try to separate them, then of course you're very cruel. You're seen as very, very cruel. On the other hand, this becomes a very sneaky and a very indirect way of the population of the United States being determined without any consideration to who we need, what we need, how much we should grow, how fast we can grow. No country has ever really been subjected to that in the intensity that we've been subjected to it, even before the catastrophe, even before the hurricane or the typhoon. Or let me give you an idea of the dimension of what happened to us in the last 3.5 years. Under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, from the day they walked into office, and he had announced 6 months before to surge to the border, you're all going to be allowed in, you're not going to be thrown out, and we're eventually going to make all of you citizens. Let's just do the whole picture. So we have on record stopped at the border and processed around 8+ million people. Those people came across a border point. They were stopped in some way. Their name was taken. The vast majority of them were taken in and given a date to return for a hearing. Now that changed the process that existed, and you'll see how it changed the numbers. Process that Trump had just negotiated with Mexico about a year old was that if people were coming into the United States seeking asylum or coming in on any purpose, they had to stop in Mexico and get cleared there. And when they were cleared, they could come across the border. Well, that had a massive effect on illegal immigration and got it down to the people that legally would be entitled to come in. Not 100%, but so Trump's last year of recorded admissions was about 420,000, of which a very large percentage was returned, even after they came in. I'm going to say 60%, something like that, maybe 50. Biden's first year in office, I mean, from the moment Biden became president, 100,000 people a month are coming over. Well, you can add up 100,000 people a month, right? 100,000 people a month and 1.2 million people a year. We had never had 1 million people under any president. Trump, Obama, you name it. His first year, he had 1.5 million. Additional problem, he didn't return them. He took them all in. His numbers that he returned were about 12, 15%. He took them all in. And because he was taking so many in so fast, the facilities for taking them in were overwhelmed. The detention facilities that exist, where you're supposed to put the ones who have criminal records, either were filled or closed, and then they stopped asking. You weren't asked whether you had a criminal record. And the numbers became so bad, it didn't matter. For example, if you were to come in from Venezuela or Somalia, and you're asked, do you have a criminal record? No. Nowhere to check. Venezuela does not respond to our requests for criminal background checks. Not only that, it's all big game. We don't even make the request of other countries because we have to get them in too fast. End result, we're here now at the end of the Biden administration. We got about 8.5 million people that came in the way I just described. We have another 2 to 2.5 million that are people that are called gotaways. Gotaways are people that we either had for a short period of time, or we got to look at, and we can identify them hopefully by name and nationality, or even just by number. Like we saw 14 going over the mountain, but we couldn't catch it. Well, we got 2 million of those, maybe 2.5. So that gets us up into the 12 million category, right? Now, that's exactly the number that came into Ellis Island over 60 years. So we took that number in 3.5 years. Except at Ellis Island, we knew the names of every single one. We stopped everyone that had any chance of a communicable disease because we had a hospital there. We stopped anyone with a criminal record because we didn't let you come in unless your country supplied that information. We sent you right back on the next boat. So you came in from, I don't know, Russia, and you'd have to wait, and they'd make a little telegraph. You sit there, could sit there for a day or two. Telegraph comes back, and you don't have a criminal record, you're in. You have a criminal record, there was a holding facility for you, and they checked it out as to the seriousness of it. That's the way the classic immigrant, that's part of American folklore, came in. That's what Adams was talking about when Adams said, oh, we take the tired and the poor and the huddled masses. But Adams didn't make the distinction that these people came in under controlled circumstances. The ones coming in with the border wide open didn't go through anything like that. They weren't checked. We had no idea who they are. We asked them to come in. And after a short period of time, they realized nothing was going to happen to them. So we had people coming in from all over the world. We've never had such a broad group of people coming in. They come in from all over, from good countries and bad countries. Now, if you run a drug operation worldwide, or you run a child mill, or a human trafficking operation, or well, you have a terrorist country and you'd like to get into the United States to have the opportunity to do terrorist attacks in the United States, or if you want to spy on the United States. Oh, gee, who would want to do that? China, Russia, and just about the whole world. You would be absolutely foolish not to take advantage of it. You'd be out of your mind not to take advantage of it. I mean, I don't know if China or Russia would be much of an adversary if we were to say, well, come on in, we're not going to check you. They don't send some of their best spies here, which they have and they've done. And we've actually caught a much larger number of them than we ever had in the past. The only problem we have is when they came in before, they had to come in under something. And we developed over a period of time a kind of expertise in figuring out who they are. But when you don't know who they are, that's why you get Christopher Wray appearing before Congress saying, I don't know how many are here. Well, if you don't know how many are here, then who does? And by the way, Christopher Wray, why the hell didn't you stop it 4 years ago? Well, I know why you didn't stop it, because you're really not part of the FBI. You're part of the Biden cabal criminal investigatory organization. You don't investigate for the benefit of the United States. You investigate for the benefit of the Democrat Party. I mean, that started when you started the phony investigation of Trump for Russian collusion, which you and all your people knew was phony. Or when you hid the hard drive for 16 months, let him get impeached for something he was innocent of, let him lose an election based on a fraudulent claim that he got information from the Russians, when you knew at the time that it was untrue. I mean, this is our FBI I'm talking about. So the immigration situation in this country is in an emergency situation. It's never been like this before. We've never had these numbers before. And we've never had such lack of knowledge about who's next door to us. With somewhere around 15 to 20 million people coming in, which is the number you get to if you start thinking about the people that come in that you never get to see, which our government hides from us. Well, never used to. We used to put out a number for that. Up until Trump, every president would put out a number for our estimate of how many came in that we didn't get to see. So you have the people who come in and they report at the border. We have something written down for them. It's not very good. The records aren't terrific and we can't vet them, but we have something. Then we have the people that get through and we get to see something about them. We may have known their name, the country they come from, the gang they're with. We may just know that they're a 5'4" guy who looks Asian, but we have a record. That's the 2 million something. And we got the third group. And this is the most dangerous group. This is the group that comes in the tremendous amounts of distance that exist between the border points, 50 miles, 100 miles, 140 miles, 130 miles. You think it's all unpassable? Like hell, it's all unpassable. And you think even if it was unpassable, the multi-billion to trillion-dollar Mexican cartels wouldn't figure out how to use it? Because that's the way they became, multi-trillion-dollar cartels. And when I say Mexican cartels, please, come on, don't think of Pancho Sanza. These are not backward. This is about as sophisticated and organized crime group as we've ever had. It's as sophisticated as the Colombian cartels. They've in large part copied the Colombian cartels. And as Colombia receded in being the primary source of cocaine and crack and everything else, Mexico, which used to be the intermediary point, has grown. So now the Mexican cartels are much more powerful than probably any of the cartels in South America, including the Colombian. Even the group that we hear so much about, Tren de Aragua from Venezuela, that's doing tremendous damage all throughout America. They have to work with and listen to the cartels, otherwise we won't get in the country.
The cartels have an expertise that is so valuable. They know how to get into this country better than we do. And when China calls and says, I want to get my best spy in, well, they wouldn't tell them that. I want to get a high quality. I want to get somebody in and I need a guarantee nobody's going to see him, touch him, or know he's in. They'll say, okay, $1 million. He comes in. And they'll take him and they'll find any number of places that they have where they're able to do that. When they're bringing in enormous amounts of fentanyl, I mean, we just made a larger seizure of fentanyl. Every day they bring in 3 times that in places we don't get to see it, because that was stupid to expose that fentanyl to the possibility of seizure when you can take it across 1,000 miles of border without anybody seeing you. I don't know that anyone's ever been, since the Biden administration took office, I'm not sure anybody's ever been captured coming in that way. When we had Trump and even Obama and Clinton, and the Border Patrol would do that. When I was in office, I ran the Border Patrol. I was in charge of the Border Patrol, the Immigration Service. And that was one of the things we did. We caught the people that were coming in those intermediary points. In fact, that was a much bigger focus of what we were doing, because that's where the real criminals are. The ones coming over across the border, sure, they're criminals, but maybe they're criminals that want to work in a restaurant, or they're criminals who want to be a babysitter, or they're criminals who want to go to college. They should come in legally. It's wrong. Should be done the right way. But you learn in law enforcement, if you want to really protect a society, how to prioritize. And I think that's going to be the answer to how they are expelled. I know there's this great fear there'll be mass deportation. You cannot do mass deportation. You can't do it. First of all, you're not going to find them all. I mean, you're going to find them over a period of time, and it's going to be done over a period of time, and you probably never, ever, ever, never find all of them. Sorry. Country's too big. There are too many people helping them hide, and we're not perfect. Will we find a lot of them? Yes. Can we restore it to an orderly situation over a 3 to 4 year period? If we're serious about it, absolutely. And can we stop it from continuing? 100%. If we honestly obey the laws. But we're never going to find all of them. And I think the president is quite right where he suggests, but doesn't commit, that we're going to start with the criminals and the bad people, and then we'll see where we get. He's just about saying that if you're a good person and you're a contributing citizen, we got too much to worry about them to come after you. He doesn't say it. He shouldn't say it, because there may be an exception here or there. There's no reason to make it into a hard and fast like principle. But that's the way it's going to be exercised. Practically, it's the only way it can be exercised, because there are just too many dangerous criminals to worry about than to worry about the person who came over and is teaching in grade school. And you don't want to get diverted that way. Closing the border, relatively easy thing to do. Finding all of the illegals, a very hard thing to do. And a very hard thing to do without creating chaos in this country. And if you focus on priorities, you'll reduce the chaos and gain the support of the public. By that, I mean, how about we start with the Trinidad people who are raping women, killing women? And how about we also spend some time on the child trafficking and make it a major priority? Because I think you'll also win a great deal of public sympathy and support if they ever knew how much child trafficking is going on in this country. There's more of it going on in this country than ever before. And there's more of it going on. We've become the center of it. Dr. Maria, what country was the center of child trafficking in the past? And human trafficking?
Yeah, they're almost out of people.
Prior to that, it was always.
Also in Asia. Also in Asia. They're also out of people. You want to go to Venezuela? You want to be safe? Go to Caracas. Crime down 70%. That's about what I got it down. Except I didn't get this. I mean, a lot of people actually thought I sent them to New Jersey, but I didn't. I actually reduced it. But Maduro, why wouldn't he? I mean, Trump makes a very powerful point, and he did during the debates by saying, if I were him, I'd do it. If you had a country overrun by violent criminals and perverts and mentally crazy idiots like Cuba did when they did the Mario boat lift, but Cuba's a much smaller country. The scale was much smaller, and I had to deal with that, and it was impossible, really difficult. This is, I don't know how much bigger, 20 times. Why wouldn't Maduro package up every criminal and every person with severe mental illness and the criminally mentally ill and stick them on a boat or plane and send them to the U.S.? If you ask for asylum from Venezuela, we fall over backwards to help you because you're a communist country. If we try to find out, then, are you one of the big shots in Trinidad who's killed 4 people? No way to find out. Now, why wouldn't Maduro take tremendous advantage of that? And why wouldn't anybody else who sort of knows him and sees what he do the same thing? Why wouldn't China? You don't think China, who has infiltrated us better than any country in history, when there were real restrictions, isn't having a field day with this? So this has to be day one. This has to be Trump's number one priority, also in part because it is something you can stop, or at least you can get control of right away. Also, if you don't get control of it right away, you don't get control of it. They're ready for a big change. The Border Patrol is like a bunch of kids in the right sense, with the tremendous enthusiasm for being respected again and treated like serious law enforcement officers. Border Patrol agents will tell you they feel like they're escorts at Radio City Music Hall. You come to the border, you could be the biggest murderer in the world. They help you across. They can feel it. These people in law enforcement develop a sixth sense for this kind of thing. So before I get off all of this, I'm going to ask you, Ted, what do you think of birthright citizenship? What do you think about the fact that I know a lot of people say, well, just change it. Unfortunately, you can't just change it. You have to amend the Constitution.
Yeah.
Although you do have this extra language that says subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. So you know who are exempted? If the English ambassador and his wife have a child in the United States, the child is not an American citizen because the child is not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. He's subject to the jurisdiction of another country. Now, why doesn't that apply to everybody that's born in the United States that is still subject to the jurisdiction of a foreign country?
I tend to agree, Mayor. And the original purpose of birthright citizenship, I think there was some. It carried the idea carried some weight, right? The idea that for the slaves, they were forced to come over here. So I do feel that now it's turned into something that almost incentivizes people, right? To get there. And I get it. America's the greatest country in the history of this earth. People want to come here, but you got to do it legally. And I do feel that this encourages people to do it in ways that often put everybody at risk. Obviously, the American people, but also the unborn child, the folks that are trying to come here illegally. So I don't know that you. It's an interesting question. I do feel that there's a strong argument to get rid of it, though, and of course the media, the left, they're gonna they're gonna go into level 5 meltdown. But there's a strong argument, and part of that argument is that it's actually the humanitarian thing to do for all involved. Not that we should be taking we shouldn't weigh too heavily the interests of these people, but it is America. We value the individual human being. Therefore, we do care about all people, but we have to put the American people first. And there's a strong argument that the humanitarian thing to do is to eliminate it.
I think that's all true, and here's the problem that it runs into. Unless you use that language in the 14th Amendment about being subject to the jurisdiction of the United States as a limitation on who can become a citizen if they're born in the United States, then you have to get a constitutional amendment. And you're never going to get a constitutional amendment on this. You're never going to get 2/3 of the states to agree on this,
unless you can win that argument that the actual humane thing to do is to eliminate it.
counting on you to do
Yeah,
it, Chad.
yeah. That's well,
I'm
Mayor.
counting on you to do it.
Yeah,
I'm counting
yeah.
on
That
you
talk about taking on. I mean,
to convince the states that now have children thrown out of their public schools because
You're right.
illegal Venezuelans are there, and trans Duragua is throwing them out of their apartment buildings. And I know there was exaggeration people thought about the killing of domestic animals by the Haitians in Springfield, but and eating them. They don't eat them. They do kill them. It is quite common in Haiti to practice voodoo. And when you practice voodoo, you sacrifice animals. And one sect, big sect, thinks that the most important sacrifice you can make is an animal you love. It means that certain number of Haitians will sacrifice. This is their belief, right?
Right.
All different cultures. They'll take little Fido, who was with them for 14 years, or 13, or 10 years, or 5 years. And if it's the right time, Fido gets offered up to, I don't know who, Troopity Poopity.
Yeah.
And
lights out for Fido.
And this is the problem of not understanding cultures and civilizations. It also comes about because we've demeaned Western civilization for so long.
Bingo.
Out of some thought that we're bragging, I actually think it's out of pure Marxism.
Yes.
We've gone through a 40-year extended cultural revolution like China went through to destroy American culture and to get our American children to hate America.
And they almost won.
For some reason, we succeeded with all the Ivy League jackasses. We haven't succeeded with the 50 million people that want to come in here. Who the heck is building tunnels to go to North Korea? Not too many people.
That's right.
China.
That's
Want
right.
to go into China and starve?
They all want to come here.
To Russia and Putin put them in a gulag if he doesn't like what they're saying? I mean, we almost got to the point where if you come into New York and Biden didn't like what you were saying, they put you in a gulag. We got rid of that.
They treat these illegals, and you're going to take offense to this, Mayor, and it's going to make you sad. They treat these illegals better than they, for example, treated me. You know, I'm new to the city. I came 2.5 years ago. I come there, I got to figure things out, right? As I expect, right? You got to pay for things.
Debit card.
Yeah, I didn't get a debit card. I mean, obviously you were very good to me, Mayor, but if it weren't for you.
Adams didn't give you a little debit card to get you through the first 40 years?
When I first started coming to New York, you could get a hotel room for like $140. A lot, but on an off time, right? These migrants now, they take all the hotels. They get the rooms for free.
Well,
they give them the rooms and the debit card.
It's unfair to them. They got these beautiful hotels, much nicer than our homeless, our citizens, or damn them, our veterans.
You're right. You're right.
But after a while, the illegal migrants who destroyed the Roosevelt Hotel, destroyed communities around it,
Yep.
were complaining about the food. They didn't like the food that was being ordered with the multi-zillion-dollar contracts.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't authentic enough or something.
That's why they got their card. They got a debit card for $900 a month. So when they didn't like what was
served at the shelter, which is not a shelter, it's a luxury hotel.
Yeah.
The Roosevelt Hotel, when I was a youngster, was a like maybe not the Waldorf, pretty close. Happened to be the headquarters of the Republican National.
Well, that's funny.
Republican, New York Republican Party for like 30 years.
Well, that's
My
ironic.
first political victory was celebrated in the grand ballroom of the Roosevelt Hotel. Very, very many fairly prominent New Yorkers were married there. It is now a welfare, not a welfare hotel. They never put welfare people in there. They're not
American, no.
We put the illegal migrants who we don't know. We don't know if they're the nicest people in the world or they're perverted pedophiles.
That's right, Mayor. And why is it that the media and the left portrays every single one of these migrants as these downtrodden victims? Oftentimes, these are like grown men who were crafty enough to get to New York City on their own. I'm not saying, I get it. There's some kids and women and dangerous, but there's a lot of grown-ass men.
The answer might be in the fact that a year and a half ago, the New York City Council voted to allow them to vote, even though they're not citizens.
What?
I mean, for years,
That's right.
Republicans have been saying they do this because they want a vote. Well, now it's gotten desperate enough, they've actually admitted it. And some dopey Democrat congressman of
Oh, yep. She gave it up.
said, well, I'm here to have him vote. I'm going to win no matter what. I have him here because of the census. I need their numbers in the census so I can keep a safe Democratic district.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. And it doesn't matter that 60% of the crime in Queens is done by the illegal aliens who are keeping up your census.
That's right.
And probably it works because most people that get killed probably vote against it.
That's right. Well, Mayor, we like to stay on top of all the latest, right? The breaking news, the latest news. So we've got the president's
Santa Claus today.
That's right. A very busy day for the president, making some picks here, some exciting ambassador picks.
We got that picture of, I can't get over it. I don't have it anymore. We used to have one of these a day. Now we have one a week.
What's that?
So the Kennedy honors were Sunday.
Yeah.
And the Bidens came in and never even said hello to Kamala and the example of male rectitude, who we have to all.
Oh, let's see if we can. Good call. While we're bringing this up,
Imhoff was listed on one of those View shows or others as kind of new male.
Yes, the modern definition of what it means to be masculine, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, it means like
beating up, or apparently slapping women in the face. Apparently,
yeah, smacking women around.
Yeah,
and knocking up your nanny.
Right, exactly. Yeah. This video of the Kennedy Center honors. There's Joe Biden and the president, or what, as we call him, Joe. Oh, Joe Biden did not say hello to Kamala. Let's watch that again, folks.
Was this Sunday when she?
Oh, he looks over, doesn't even shake her hand. All right, let's watch this again. Good, very observant, Mayor. Here they come. A nice cheer. There's Jill. Wade doesn't even look at her. Oh, doesn't even look at her. Oh, that's rough.
So this is Sunday. Saturday, she was flirting with Trump.
That's right. We got to bring that.
Doing Google Eyes with Trump.
We got to bring that up. That's absolutely right.
And in church, she's flirting with Trump.
The ambassador to Greece.
Wow.
Yeah. So some big ambassador picks, Mayor.
Oh, go ahead. Come on, tell me.
Tonight the president very busy with more picks. So for Turkey, these announcements just coming in here. President Trump is nominating, I believe it's Tom Barrack. Is that right? Tom Barrack, his longtime friend. Barrack with a CK at the end. So is it Barack or Barrack?
Barrack. You got
Yeah. And that's to Turkey. That's going to be a big post, of course, considering everything
That's
that's
a big
happening
post. I mean, Turkey,
with Syria.
Turkey
and
already
visits.
is moving troops into Syria.
So that's going to be a
Because they want to
intense.
go after the Kurds.
That's right.
And we got that. I mean, the Kurds, even more than the Afghanis that we double crossed, the Kurds have been our mainstay in Iraq and in Iran and in that region of the world. They are 100% American and they are 100% not anti Semitic. So we don't protect them and we're not worth it.
And the president has nominated Kimberly Guilfoyle as U.S. ambassador to Greece. So very exciting for our friend Kimberly.
Kimberly is Kimberly Greek by background?
That is an interesting question.
Not-
I'm going to
not
look
they-
that up.
There's a whole dispute about that, about whether you should nominate someone to a country where they have an ethnic connection or not. And sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes the answer is no. Trump, it seems to me, errs on the side of yes. For example, his ambassador to Israel was Jewish. No, this time not, but Christian pro Israel.
Those Southern Christians love Israel.
The ambassador to Italy has often been Italian American, often not.
I don't know that he's picked one for Italy. Charles Kushner is the ambassador to France. We, of course, know Barrack now to Turkey. Kimberly Guilfoyle to Greece. Guilfoyle, the last name is, I'm being told, Irish.
What?
Irish. Guilfoyle, Irish.
Well, Irish, yes. That doesn't mean that
That Kimberly's not, yeah.
Greek mother or.
That's a good point. And of course, Greece, so much history there. So much. In fact, I'm excited. So she's Catholic. Her mother was Puerto Rican and her father was born in Ireland. So Kimberly's mother,
But she's Roman Catholic.
and she was raised Catholic. That's right.
That's an interesting thing. That's sort of sometimes a barrier.
But there's just so much. I mean, that's exciting. There's so much history, right? Greece is I don't know if it's the birthplace, but as far as democracy, right? As philosophy and modern democracy. The republic is Italy? Italian. Wow. Yeah. I want to go over there.
This is not a question of ethnic pride or anything, but I think the ambassador to Italy would be quite important because of Giorgia Meloni. The president.
If only I knew some prominent Italian American.
No.
If only I knew an Italian.
Stop it.
I didn't say your name. I didn't say your name.
Stop it.
Did I say your name?
No, but you were
Okay.
pointing at me. The reality is, I'm making a point here. It has nothing to do with me. It's important because you have to look at who can your allies be in Europe. Like, when Reagan came in, it was quite obvious that Thatcher was his natural ally. She was a year ahead of him. She got into office a year ahead of him, or maybe even a little longer than that. She initiated the conservative reforms in England that he wanted to initiate in the United States. And they immediately liked each other also. But he was very close to her, and that gave him a European ally. Giorgia Meloni is the closest in Europe to his way of thinking. She modeled a lot of her campaign on him. She admires him. She's a year and a half ahead of him. And there is no dominant country in Europe anymore. There is no such thing. First of all, England's not in the EU. So the ambassador to the court of St. James was always considered the key ambassadorship. The ambassador to England.
Yeah.
It was, I don't
To the UK, I believe Warren Stevens was nominated to be the ambassador to the United Kingdom.
Really?
I'll look that up to confirm. Warren Stevens, is that
But
name?
nothing taken from Warren Stevens, but I don't think that's true anymore. I think England is one among equals now.
It's almost like a ceremony. Would you say it's more of a, I don't want to call any of these cushy, but would you say the UK ambassadorship is more of a spot you might reward someone as opposed to a place like Turkey where and I'm not trying to take away the importance of any of these spots, right? The UK one that's still one where you have to know I mean, all of them are, right? You want to know the
Yeah,
dynamic.
It's
You-
a full-time job.
Yeah.
The ambassador to the UK,
That makes sense.
because there are an awful lot of things the United States and the UK
That's right.
have to be together on. And the ambassadors are the key to making sure we're together on it. There's also a lot of things that go wrong. You know, the ambassadors handle all the problems for our Americans who go to England.
Yeah.
And their ambassador handles all the problems for the English who come to, and we have a lot of interchange. We also have a lot of commercial interchange in which there's a tremendous number of problems. So it's a busy, just because we're friends and not enemies, sometimes makes it more difficult because we have so much to do with each other. You're right. The issues are much tougher as between the United States and Turkey than as between the United States and England or Italy.
Well, is it, Mayor? My question to you would be, how involved are the ambassadors, for example, with information sharing between intelligence agencies, right? Obviously, the UK intelligence apparatus is crucial.
Depends
and one
on
that
the
we,
ambassador, and
Okay.
the level of security clearance.
right.
he
Yeah.
has,
Okay.
and the level of security clearance the president wants them to have.
Yeah.
And the higher the level, the more the ambassador is a player. Sometimes the ambassador is not a player at all. Doesn't even know what's going on.
And when we look at, let's name the big ones that most Americans, France, Italy, Germany, the UK, is there, and maybe the UK is unique out of those four, but would you say out of those four, when it comes to information sharing, intelligence gathering, some of the other foreign policy priorities that we're both working on together, do any of those countries stand out? I mean, they're all unique, right?
In information gathering and intelligence gathering, of course, there are problems, but probably those would be the countries that have the least amount of problems.
Mm-hmm.
There's no real natural barrier between what we wouldn't share with them and they would share with us.
Yeah.
The problem is we're all infiltrated. So if you don't infiltrate the U.S. and you infiltrate England, and England has all the same information as the U.S., well, you've infiltrated the U.S. So everybody has to be careful. They can only give up information that is needed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, hit one and you hit them all.
Would it be beneficial for the president to choose, obviously, people that he trusts and can rely on for these ambassador posts? Because I think of in terms of like the State Department, right? And all these people in the State Department that have all these ulterior motives. Can these ambassadors also be a check on the entrenched, deep, state? Okay.
Absolutely.
So you need tough people in these jobs.
Sophisticated countries. In the old days, countries wanted to have State Department professionals as their ambassador because they knew all the right books to read on foreign policy, and they knew all the right things to say, and they always showed up dressed properly at all the cocktail parties. What they learned was they were much better off with the president's friends. Because Woody Johnson was the last ambassador to the UK. I think he did it for all 8 years that Trump, all 4 years that Trump was president.
That's right.
Woody and Donald Trump go back to New York football.
The Jets.
And Woody Johnson is one of the richest men in New York. So when Woody Johnson had a problem, he called Donald Trump. If the person put there was a senior State Department person who gets moved up into the ambassadorial ranks, he's going to go through the Secretary of State, the State Department. He may never talk to the president.
That's right.
Foreign countries have gotten to know that. And many of the important ones insist on what they call a political ambassador. Used to be just the opposite.
Oh, they would want to work with
an ambassador with more economic, political expertise.
Yeah.
Now they want an ambassador with more
direct access.
Contact with the president. As our government has become so big, and the president's only going to get a certain amount of information.
Yeah.
So if it was my country, I'd love to have the president's best friend there.
Yeah. I'd want. Yeah, I know who I'd want. Not going to say it. Yeah.
So I mean, the more that the ambassador can feel comfortable calling the White House and saying, "Can I speak to the president?" the more likely it is the president's going to say, "Sure."
Is there an ambassador of the ambassadors? I know we're getting tight on time, but is there an ambassador that or not? Is there someone that oversees all of the ambassadors?
Call the Secretary of State.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got me there. All right, better stop asking questions.
Well, we've had a nice lecture on foreign policy, but this is the time to do it as we're putting a new government together. And I have to tell you, this is an agency I know really well. If you tried that in the Department of Commerce, I'd be confused as hell. I don't even know how many people they have in the Department of Commerce or quite what they do. In fact, if I don't know what they do, my general rule is we should do away with them. And then we'll figure out. And if we need them, we'll put them back together again. I tried to do that as mayor. I tried to get rid of the agencies that I had a really simple one. I had 14 different agencies for relationships with the various diverse ethnic, religious, and racial groups in New York.
Yeah.
I had an office of Afro-American relations. I had an office of Hispanic relations.
Gosh.
Then the Hispanic relations broke down into Cuban,
Puerto Rican.
Then I had an office of African relations and an office of this and an office of
No DEI office.
gay and lesbian affairs.
Just the two
on
letters
and
then.
on.
There was just two letters in
This
those
is the
days.
problem. I'm going ahead and I'm appointing people to this. And now I come to the European office. Who the hell am I going to appoint the head of the European office?
Oh.
If I appoint a German,
Yeah.
every Italian, every Spaniard, every
I
Englishman can go nuts on me. I appoint an Englishman, same thing.
Well, the French not going to be happy.
We try one of these mixed marriages, the guy is half Irish and half German,
Yeah.
but that'll only take care of two countries.
Probably got to have some Irish in them.
Yeah.
For New York, right?
So you know what I said?
Switzerland?
Let's get rid of them all. What do I need them for?
Oh.
Got rid of 14 offices all at once, made one office. The Office of Relations with the Mayor for community groups.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
You weren't.
I didn't care because
You didn't care that those positions are good for reelection?
All
Those
that-
are nice posts that you can put people on.
What we call boss tweed patronage.
Exactly.
It is a small reason why the budget of New York City is more than the budget of the entire state of Florida. And the budget of New York State is twice the budget of the state of Florida. You put those expenditures together, we are stealing a lot.
Yeah. That takes guts to get rid of those positions. Did the media beat you up for it?
What?
Did the media beat you up for it?
One day.
And then they realized, oh, wait, he's actually
The
probably right.
conservative media thought it was brilliant.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, they love that.
So, and I never had a problem.
So you got rid of,
Never missed them.
so you already went through the whole DEI thing and you got rid of DEI before it was cool.
I didn't even know it was DEI.
Yeah.
I
Right.
didn't know what it meant.
Yeah.
If you told me that equality means equality of result, I would say, yeah, we'll go to Russia.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. 100%.
Well, we had a wonderful conversation tonight, and we covered a lot of things, including coffee and this completely confounding murder and the racist trial in New York that hopefully is the starting of a new era where we start to look at things in a colorblind way, which was always our goal. And we were getting there until Obama came along, I think. And maybe this is another thing that Trump can restore for us. So I want you all to pray for the people of Israel and the people of Ukraine. Today they put out a figure that something like 270,000 of them have been killed in this war that never had to happen. We'll get you the Russian numbers tomorrow because there was a number of 700,000 Russians, but I think that includes injuries. I think that was a mistaken number. It seemed to me it'd be very strange that the rates would be so disproportionate, but it's an awful lot of people. And the worst part of it is none of them had to die. This war would not have taken place if Biden hadn't been somebody that Putin could take advantage of, nor would the war in Israel have taken place. But it has, and that's where we are. And the really difficult thing for Donald Trump is he knows it. He's coming into a much more difficult world than he came into in 2017. He's coming into a country that seems to support him more than when he came in 2016 and 17. So maybe that'll balance things out.
there isn't the same anger and protests, and the schools divided into little psychiatric corners for the children who are being given lollipops, even though they're 18. It seems to me that people are unhappy about it, but they've accepted it. And his popularity is the strongest it's ever been. The last poll, 59% of the American people approve of what he's doing. Whoa. Well, let's hope it continues that way. We'll be back tomorrow night at 7 on Frank Speech Network and X. And then we'll be here at our old trusty America's Mayor Live on X at 8. So you get ready with a whole bunch of questions, because tomorrow night we're going to see if we can have you call in, okay? We'll be back, I believe, in Palm Beach, unless we find something interesting to do on the way. God bless America.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now.
To celebrate
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for...
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50%, and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order...
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history.
Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk,